Anthropic has announced Claude 3.7 Sonnet and Claude Code. Claude 3.7 Sonnet is their most intelligent model to date, and it is their first hybrid reasoning model on the market. So what is this hybrid reasoning model? So basically, Claude 3.7 Sonnet is an frontier LLM and a reasoning model in one. So you can pick when you want the model to answer normally and when you want it to think longer before answering. And in this particular Claude 3.7 Sonnet, it also has an extended thinking mode where it self-reflects before answering, which improves its performance in maths, physics, instruction following, coding, and many other tasks. Claude 3.7 Sonnet, through the API, users can also control the budget for thinking. You can tell Claude to think for number more than n tokens for any value of n to its output limit of 128k tokens. So you can say that for this particular query, think up to 30k tokens. So this allows you to trade off speed and cost for quality of answer. So what are the things you could do with Claude Sonnet 3.7 before going into benchmarks or something? So I looked at X, and there people have come up with interesting use cases of Claude 3.7 reasoning. For example, Elvis says over here is that he has used it to build a one-shot quick simulator of how attention mechanisms work. So what he says over here in this particular video is that with a simple prompt, can you help me explain attention mechanisms in transfer to college students? Think deeply about clever ways to explain the concept without focusing too much on maths. He was able to create a simulator explaining transformer attention mechanism, where you could actually play around with the attention heads, right? It's quite impressive that, with a single prompt, this kind of a simulator can be created with Claude 3.7. Okay. Over here, Ethan Malik is actually saying about visualization, right? Is it Claude 3.7 do the AGI unicorn thing in the PDF, but make it 10x more impressive to really show those sparks? Don't limit yourself to TickZ or even images. And he pasted the sparks of AGI paper. And this is the kind of visualization which was generated by Sonnet 3.7. Okay, so this is quite impressive in terms of, when you click on the unicorn horn and then you click on each of this thing, so it shows the sparks of AGI from that particular paper. Okay. McKay over here says that it's the best model in the world for code, having a world-class dev with exceptional taste. So build a Next.js SaaS marketing template and 26 files of beautiful code in one shot. And he says this is absolutely unreal. Okay. Somebody talks about, talks about 3D, stunning 3D with one shot prompt. Looks at shadows and the transition. This is the 3D visualization which has been created with Claude Sonnet 3.7. This is a coding test to create HTML file containing CSS and JavaScript to generate an animated weather card. The card should visually represent the following weather condition with distinct animations. Wind, for example, it should have moving clouds, swaying trees, or something like that, right? And if it is slow, you should show falling snowflakes, snow accumulating. So it should have a dark background, and this is the code which has been generated. And when you preview the code, this is what you get. It's quite amazing. From different users have put different use cases. Another use case over here where Anmar says that this is a game or Apple Watch where a snake game where the length of the snake is kind of tied to your heart rate. The more stressed you get, the faster the snake moves. The calmer you are, easier it is. So this is the snake game basically over here, which has been developed for Apple Watch, right? This is again just with 5 prompts. Okay. Then again another use case from Elvis where it shows the potential of AI to help you understand complex topics. For example, creating a simulator for Monty Hall problem using the magic of combining code and reasoning. So understand Monty Hall problem in depth. Can you explain that? And then can you also create a simulator for that? Right. So this helps you get a better understanding. Okay. So these were some use cases which have been highlighted on X. Many people are coming up with multiple use cases of Claude 3.7 Sonnet. They are showcasing the performance of the model, and it seems to be doing good for them. Right? So if you look at benchmarks over here, what they're saying is that the Claude 3.7 Sonnet on the software engineering SWE bench verified, but which evaluates the AI models to solve real-world software issues, this particular model has actually performed much better than, say, an OpenAI O1 or OpenAI O3 Mini High or DeepSeek R1. Right? And if you look at the performance improvement, this is somewhere close to more than 10 points over here. So this is a huge development, something like what AlexNet did in computer vision. Okay, so this is a huge improvement over here, right? And then they talk about agentic tool use over here. Also, it does a much better performance than an OpenAI O1. So that is what they're saying over here. Here are the benchmark performance and where they have no extended thinking, and if you see the performance difference from no extended thinking to extended thinking, you see a significant gain in performance. Okay, so this is with 64k additional token budget for extended thinking, right? So here, if you look at the performance of say Grok 3 or OpenAI O3 Mini, maybe it is much higher compared to Grok on compared to say Claude 3.7 Sonnet on some benchmarks. That's because of they have a footnote saying that how Grok 3 has published this score, right, where they say that it runs basically 64 solutions, and then if one of the 64 solutions is the right answer, that's how this score is getting computed. Whereas over here they are using a different method. Okay, so where they report Anthropic reports pass one average over several trials for most evals, up to an average over 16 trials for AIME and SWE benchmark for our models and so this is some internal parallel test time compute. That's what they're saying over here. Okay, whereas Claude 3.7 Sonnet's GPQA and AMI high scores use internal scoring with parallel test time compute, while Grok uses voting with n is equal to 64 samples. Okay, that is a performance difference over here, right? So what they're saying is that Claude 3.7 Sonnet excels across instruction following, general reasoning, multimodal capabilities, and agenting coding. So they have also actually created a agent for coding, okay, called Claude Code. That is their first agentic tool. So this is an active collaborator that can search and read code, works from command line, basically works from your terminal, which can edit, write, run tests, commit, and push code to GitHub and make use of command line tools, keeping you in the loop at every step. That is their video. You can check out that, right? So this is the latest release from Anthropic. So they are also catching up with say OpenAI or Grok or the other models with reasoning. Ever since DeepSeek R1 has come up, every other people are catching up. Every other AI labs are catching up with reasoning over here. So Sonnet is actually their mid-level model. Haiku is their low-level model, and in terms of capability, and Opus is their highest. So the expectation is that the Opus Claude 3.7 Opus, whenever it comes, or whatever Claude 4, will be much better than 3.7. Okay, so here is their kind of roadmap where they're saying that currently they're looking at Claude as an assistant. In 2025, basically in the previous year, it was more about an assistant where Claude helps individuals do their current work better. In 2025, they're more looking at as a collaborator where Claude does hours of independent work for you on par with experts, expanding what every person or team is capable of. And in 2027, they're saying that Claude will start finding breakthrough solutions to challenging problems that could have taken teams years to achieve. That's the kind of roadmap they're having. Now, with respect to pricing of this particular model, input is $3 per million tokens and output is $15 per million tokens. There is a 200K context window for input, right? So the thing over here is that if you look at the pricing compared with OpenAI O3 Mini, OpenAI O3 Mini is much more cheaper, $4 for 1 million tokens, whereas Claude is very expensive, right? It's almost 3 times or more over here, right? Similarly for input, it's like, again, 3 times more over here compared to OpenAI O3 Mini. But looking at the performance, I just tried over here, but I don't have a pro subscription for Claude, so I cannot get access to extended thinking. But I just tried simply like, okay, can you explain how large language models are trained to college students think deeply about clever ways to explain the concepts without focusing too much on maths? It just gave me something initially, talking about how to do it, library analogy or this thing. And then I said, I want a simulator, because it asked me like, would you like to expand more on any specific aspect? I said, yes, create a simulator. And, this was the simulator which got created over here. So here I can enter a text to train the model or use. So here the idea about LLM training is predicting the next word based on previous word. I said use a default corpus, and if I type over here like the quick, okay, it just says the next word as the quick, right? That's the highest probability over here. So if it predicts the next word. So this is a way of how LLMs are pre-trained to predict the next. So it says quick brown. So if you look at the code over here, it actually creates a corpus for initial training. It makes use of simple statistics to predict the next word. So it gives a simulator over here for you to learn more about how LLM pre-training is done. So quite impressive that directly the code which I was able to run, in the second prompt itself, I'm able to create a simulator and it is able to run this, right? So this was a short video on Claude 3.7 Sonnet. So you can check out more details over here. You can go and try out. If you have a pro subscription, you can enable the extended thinking. You can try it out for various use cases. You can follow these various people on X who come up with these interesting use cases for Claude Sonnet 3.7, and you can learn from them as well. Hopefully this is a useful video. See you in another video.